What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Out of the Basement. Today we are going to be discussing our thoughts on the Mandalorian trailer. Maybe a little bit of Star Wars in general. Of course, I'm Nate. I'm joined with Justin.
What's up, guys?
And Steven.
Howdy.
And making his semi-annual return, it's Connor.
It's only been like a couple months.
That's true. You were with our highly underperforming Game of Thrones discussion videos.
And Dark Phoenix.
Yes.
Lest we forget.
That video ended up getting at least some views. But otherwise, no one
Dead
cared,
weight.
No one cared about our Game of Thrones content. And that's fine. We're a Star Wars channel, essentially. So we're not going to be doing a trailer reaction, but we're just going to talk about the trailer a little bit, talk about what we see in the trailer, and how we feel. So, Connor, you've got our notes, so why don't you just take us away, brother?
I really want to just start off with this as a jump-off point. Does this trailer get you excited enough to justify Disney Plus?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I 100% think so.
It wouldn't alone. But the deal where it's like you pay so much for 1 year and it averages out to like $4.99 a month or something like that.
And it's like buy 2 years, get the third year free.
That was the I'm sold moment. I mean, of course I want to watch The Mandalorian, but there's other ways to watch it without having Disney Plus. And then they came out with the actual, figures, and I was like, okay, I'm in.
I feel like for what you get, Disney Plus is going to be generally worth it. Obviously, we haven't seen any of the content, but, guaranteed probably every Disney movie, every Marvel movie, all the Star Wars movies.
It's
No
not going to
R-rated
feel
content?
It's not going to feel good selling out to the mouse.
No R-rated content is a bummer. So no Deadpool.
It's kind of like how I feel with Amazon.
But
exactly.
It's like you don't want to, but it's like, I have to.
Correct me if
We've
I'm
been
wrong,
conditioned.
but aren't they putting all of the R-rated content, though, like on Hulu, which they also own?
Oh, you might be right.
I didn't know they owned Hulu, but I'm not surprised either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if there's another place to watch all of the R-rated content, great. But even at that, I would assume Clone Wars, Rebels, it's all going to be there. So for a Star Wars fan, you're going to have everything in one place, which is pretty dope. But yeah, like you guys said, it sucks because I criticize Disney so much. And then just like that, they're like, here's a little bit of Star Wars, Nate. And I'm like, I need it.
That I think it's actually a good jump off to my next question, which is, do we consider this, and I think I know where you guys stand on it, are we running with this as being kind of, this show as being something that's more world building or kind of milking the franchise?
I think it's too early to tell what it's ultimately going to be, but I will say this. When I saw the trailer for the first time, I teared up because it felt like Star Wars to me.
Mm-hmm.
It felt in the universe of Star Wars, but at the same time, it's not just the same lightsabers, good versus evil kind of thing we've been seeing for a while. So
I thought that about Rogue One.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm really hoping.
Fair enough.
And what I think it will be, my prediction is this is going to be a better version of Rogue One because they're actually going to flesh out the characters and make them interesting.
Well, and also you're not stuck in like the 15 minutes before Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, I love the original trilogy era, and like we did our little research, and it takes place just after Return of the Jedi. So, there's super interested in the original trilogy era, and that's where Rogue One failed, was they didn't make the characters interesting. This is like an opportunity to have a little more world building, since there is only the 3 original trilogy movies.
Yeah. We need more post original trilogy world building.
If only there was like a wealth of literature about this that was canon at one point.
Shut up.
Canon doesn't matter.
It really doesn't.
Yeah, ever since Disney canceled all of the book canon, turned everything into Legends, it has legitimately, there's been, from the end of Return of the Jedi to The Force Awakens, there's pretty much been absolutely nothing in terms of lore in the new canon.
Mm-hmm.
Battlefront 2's story.
Yeah.
It's canon.
Which is not bad, but it's not great either. And it's also a pretty generic story.
Yeah, but in that sense, I think I'm hoping for that it will be more so world building rather than milking the franchise.
There's a lot of... there's so much talent involved in the series. I know like Taika Waititi, I think, is involved in some way.
Dave Filoni,
Jon
Favreau.
John. He's not a
I'm
bad
fairly
director.
certain Bryce Dallas Howard is directing an episode,
Interesting.
which I don't.
Did Ron Howard hook her up with that after
That's
Solo?
what I think that might have been part of the Solo deal.
Probably. He's
Um,
like, why don't you give my daughter a start? Which is fine. I mean, I don't know if she's ever directed anything, but it could be cool.
but she's Ron Howard's daughter, so
Yeah.
She's Gwen Stacy.
That is true.
that's
In
her
the
most
greatest-
iconic role to date.
In the greatest Spider-Man film of all time, Spider-Man 3.
Now dig on this.
What I wanted to say, though, was I really like... Obviously, it's not going to be, like, bloody or super violent or anything, but the trailer gives off a gritty vibe.
A much more adult Star Wars than we're used to.
Yeah, and, like, the song that plays, it's very almost Blade Runner 2049. That's kind of the vibe I got
Which
from
I'm
it.
down for.
Yeah.
It looks like
Like, I don't understand why we've never had a Star Wars movie that's really leaned into, like, the electronic soundtrack, like in the trailer for The Mandalorian.
it's like a very electronic, like cowboy movie vibe.
Yeah, it definitely gives off, obviously, a Western vibe. There's the shot of the Mandalorian, and he's, like, tapping his gun, and then the way he draws it as well is very, like, Wild West, cowboy-ish. Obviously, they're probably on Tatooine, you think?
You can never assume Tatooine anymore.
Right. It could be Jakku.
Jakku? That junkyard?
Obviously, the desert, the sand, the shot of all the stormtrooper helmets damaged on the poles, it, like, really set the tone that, like...
That really pulls you in.
Yeah. Like, right off the bat. And it sets the tone that, like, okay, maybe this is going to be a little bit more serious, which they could... I'm hoping this doesn't happen, but... Like we always talked about, like with The Last Jedi. We're not going to get into it, guys. We're not getting into it.
Oh, they're already getting into it in the comments.
But
Don't worry.
like we said, The Last Jedi trailer, very serious. The movie, pretty silly overall. So
Yeah, and that's like a theme of Hollywood too. Suicide Squad.
yeah,
you know.
we've been burned before on the serious trailer, only for the show or the movie to be very lighthearted in all reality. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I don't think it will, just based on who's involved. Because Dave Filoni, obviously responsible for the Clone Wars, Rebels as well, right, to some degree. He knows what he's doing. And I think that there's plenty of episodes of Clone Wars that are also pretty dark.
Yeah.
That are a little bit spicy for what age the show is aimed at.
That is true. I mean, there's like compilation videos on YouTube. There's like there's always been mass genocide, but there's like mass decapitation. There's like child slavery.
Yeah.
There's like executing slaves and stuff like that in the show. I mean, that was back in like the Cartoon Network era, so I can definitely see why that was a thing.
Yeah.
Because as the Rebels, a little more kid friendly, and then Resistance obviously is marketed towards kids, but
Yeah.
like also we've all probably always been interested in the bounty hunters.
True.
And wanting to dive a little bit deeper. There's like a Boba Fett comic, just like a one-off that came out a few months ago, and it was a pretty good read, and it had some like bounty hunter world building, and I think it's going to be interesting because you see all the stormtrooper helmets, like, but they're not, like, bounty hunters aren't necessarily against the Empire. They're pretty much in their own self-interest. You know, they're a slave to bounties, to credit. So I think it'll be interesting to see what dynamic that the Empire has to play.
Well,
They're essentially Benicio del Toro in The Last Jedi.
Well, there is that shot in the trailer of The Mandalorian
Where they're all, like-
where he's surrounded by the stormtroopers and he pulls his weapons out.
Right.
So I think that he might just be in like a rebellion controlled area where they have like warnings up for like the Empire, obviously like the stormtroopers.
Do you think that he's actually Mandalorian? Because do you think that Disney knows that not all Mandalorians are bounty hunters, and that Boba Fett and Jango Fett weren't actually Mandalorian?
Maybe. We'll have to see, but like I said, with Dave Filoni being involved, I'm sure somewhere along the way he would be like, hey guys, Jango Fett and Boba Fett were not Mandalorians.
Well, yeah,
because they've done Mandalorian stuff in Rebels and Clone Wars.
I brought that up kind of comedically, but or at least with that intent. But yeah, like I was just getting ready to say, I think Dave Filoni did more than enough justice to the Mandalorians in Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yeah.
So, but I just found that odd. Like immediately, like he's got to be a bounty hunter if he's wearing this Mandalorian armor, or he might be or not be Mandalorian. It's just.
I think that'd be a fair point if it was called the Bounty Hunter and then it was just another guy in Mandalorian armor. But I think since it's actually called the Mandalorian, there's like at least an acknowledgement that it is a Mandalorian person. And you also got to think like Boba Fett, Jango Fett were. I mean, they didn't make those with the intent that someday there's going to be a cartoon or some other lore that establishes that this is Mandalorian armor and there's a whole planet called Mandalore and they're like different gangs and so
no, George Lucas thought of all of it.
Yeah, so I mean, you got to think about that too. Like it was just a design choice and then it eventually was explored further. So
yeah, that's true. And I mean, I could see why maybe you'd have some grievance with that, but honestly, I don't care.
No. I at least wanted to bring that up for discussion's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, I do agree.
Fair point.
So my whole big thing with, and this is kind of some distance I felt since they announced like the spin-off films and, I love Star Wars as like an event, it's a thing we when we got Star Wars in theaters, when we were like 5, and then it was like a thing to look forward to, and then it was like, okay, we're done, there's no more. So there was that, when episode 7 was announced, there was that excitement in the air.
Like almost 11 years had gone by since.
And that event vibe, I always worry with like the abundance of content. And I'm not counting like the animated stuff. I know it's canon, but like, like with the live action stuff, it's a little bit more clearly connected. You know what I mean? I guess I always worry about kind of taking away from that event feel.
I think the event feeling is long gone. I think we kissed that away pretty much by the time Rogue One hit theaters. That was like the last time where I was truly like, yeah!
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that, and that's obviously because there's a new one every year now. Of course.
Yeah.
But at least they're going to be done after, film-wise, for a little bit. At least after episode 9. So maybe they're not going to milk it as bad as we're thinking right now. But I do agree. I think like 2015, December, like literally, like I said earlier, almost 11 years of us just thinking like Star Wars is done forever.
Yeah.
And we're never getting any more. And then The Force Awakens comes out and I'm like...
Well, I think Disney fully intended to milk it for all it was worth.
Course.
But then
why else buy it for?
Yeah, I was gonna say because they
billions.
made a hefty investment.
Billions. Although they made
Beans.
they made most of that back with The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So like
The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens.
I don't know why I said it like that, but
it went full yogurt.
Yeah.
but that was like. I think that was the a highlight of like cultural phenomenon for like in our lives. The fact that we were
college-aged men walking around with lightsabers on our belts.
Yeah,
just in this house.
Like nothing will
not out in public.
Nothing will ever recreate the magic that was the hype for Force Awakens. But I'm definitely still excited for the future of Star Wars. It's just not like it's not as intense as it once was.
I think Star Wars works, is already proven to work pretty well as a show as well. Yeah. So it'll be kind of nice, a nice little change of pace to have something to watch, because they're not releasing all the episodes at once. So it's going to be like a weekly thing to look forward to, and obviously we don't know how long. I don't know if the runtime of each episode is confirmed, but I would assume it's probably around the 40-minute to an hour mark for each episode. Yeah. And... it's exciting. It's exciting to have something that's going to be a little bit more fleshed out, a little bit more in depth, as TV shows inherently are, and as they can be. It's probably going to be a lot slower paced than people will be expecting, and I can pretty much already see into the future of people saying it's boring or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like the trailer's super action packed, but obviously you can't have that every single episode, so...
That's all the action sequences.
Yeah. It's like one scene, but even the action scenes in the trailer look so amazing. Obviously, there's a new IG droid, IG-11. It's not IG-88, unfortunately.
But like my theory, the bait and switch.
But why would they go through all of that trouble
I don't know.
when like 5 people care about IG-88? But
True.
I mean, it's
I
still
thought that was a triggered face.
it's still an IG droid. He still pretty much looks almost exactly the same. So it's like, who really cares? I don't know if I would assume he's gonna have dialogue. He's gonna talk. I don't know.
Does IG-88 talk?
Well, he was only in the movies for 2 seconds.
Fake fan.
I don't know if he talks or not.
Is the Mandalorian gonna talk? He doesn't say a word in the trailer.
See, now you've got me picturing this show is going to be like Sons of Anarchy, but it's Star Wars. And I'm getting kind of excited.
Like, what if he's kind of like the man without a name.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't have much to say. And he's played by Pedro Pascal, who played Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones. And that's also very exciting. He's a very charismatic man, so I honestly hope he has a lot of dialogue. Because
that would be a waste, I think.
Yeah, he's just captivating in Game of Thrones. Like, from the minute you see him, you're like, this guy is awesome.
I love him. I hope he lives throughout the whole show.
I hope nothing bad ever happens to him and everything that could go right in his life does.
Yeah.
We have, like, no context for almost anything.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to have a solid, like, real discussion about what's going on because there's so little.
I think what's most interesting about this, right? I think like all of us grew up in that time where like, you know, Return of the Jedi is the definitive end and it's a happy ending, right? Mm-hmm. So, and obviously with Episode 7 that was completely taken away from us. And I'm really interested in that in the sense of the immediate aftermath. I think this is like a chance to really explore how different, like, whatever was in our heads as kids reading non-canon books, like, how that translates now.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of exactly where I am, because I know nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
I
didn't even think about that. So this takes place after Return.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The Empire is defeated in Return.
Yeah, but, like, clearly it's, like, not like that was the end of the...
I'm sure
even in the whole galaxy had fireworks.
I mean, there's...
Well, in the old EU, they fought off the Imperial remnant.
Yeah,
because there was still, the
That's
Empire was spread out against the whole Galactic Empire, so there was, they still had some fighting to do after Return.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the assumption for, like, even the first Star Wars. The Death Star blows up, and in your mind, you can think that's the conclusion. Like, Star Wars, the first Star Wars can stand on its own, like, if Empire and Return was never made. Like, oh, they defeated the Empire, but it's implied that there's still more out there, obviously, because Empire happens.
And what little I know about the new Disney books, what was it, like that trilogy of books that came out? One was the first new one. What I do know about it, I think they're kind of like lukewarm, no pun intended, received. But the little I do know about it and the little snippets I've read here and there, because I have read a little bit of it, there's some really interesting stuff that could be explored. Particularly when I was doing all that research for the Knights of Ren.
The hit video?
Yeah. It took me a lot to those books, and I read some of those, and it just seems like there's hope that it's going to be, there's some good stuff on the horizon, good stories to be told after Return and before Force Awakens.
Oh, and obviously the Battlefront 2
Right.
Yeah.
campaign takes place after it. So I guess, I'm not confused anymore.
What else do you guys want to discuss about the trailer? Anything? Final thoughts? Excited?
Of course I'm excited. It's Star Wars!
I think, like the trailer I thought was awesome, but I don't know that means I'm going to watch it.
I'm definitely going to watch it. There's no way I can't.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it.
Like, I don't know.
I'm excited for it.
You're a pretty big TV guy, so that's kind of weird that you would say that you don't know if you're going to watch it.
It's the Disney Plus thing that's really got me, like...
But you have 3 people sitting next to you that have already confirmed, like, Yeah, we're buying in. You also live in the same neighborhood as me?
I think he forgets that a lot.
What, the fact that he lives at 273?
All right, so let's talk just final thoughts. Steve, are you excited?
Of course, I'm excited. I'm going to watch it with an open mind and hope it's good. But I've been burned before by Disney.
That is true.
And
Connor.
I'll be burned again.
Apprehensive looks good.
I feel like you're the lowest.
It's not that like I think it looks awesome. Again, I'm just like
You're still in your UGG phase.
I'm not even in my UGG phase. I'm just like really.
He doesn't want to sell out to the mouse.
I'm tampering all expectations right now.
Fair enough. Justin?
I think it looks really good. I'm a sucker for bounty hunters. I'm a sucker for Imperial era, OT era. I'm just a sucker in general.
Just cuts to Justin watching Dog the Bounty Hunter.
That's another thing. Death Troopers are in The Mandalorian. We didn't even talk about it. Death Troopers, yay! The best thing to come out of Rogue One and the best design to come out of Disney Star Wars as a whole. Putting my money on it. Putting my money on the Death Trooper.
I could agree with that. I could agree.
Love those bad boys. The black armor, the face. Ooh, so good. And those are our thoughts on The Mandalorian.
You give your final thoughts.
My final thoughts are your final thoughts.
You merged into one piece.
That's the thing.
We're conjoined.
No, of course I think it looks good. I'm super excited. Like I said, it was like a shot in the arm to me to get excited about Star Wars because I was feeling a lull. I was in a little bit of a lull. I was just
endless cycle.
Yeah, the endless cycle of yeah. So that was where I was, and now look at us. We all started playing Battlefront 2 again, except for Connor because he doesn't have an Xbox. We all
I have your Xbox.
That is true. That's an Xbox 360. Yeah. But we're all playing Battlefront 2. We're all getting a little excited about Star Wars. So it's clearly worked on us. At least us three. Not Connor, though. But yeah, those are my final thoughts.
There's like an ominous music. Not Connor, though. Feedback.
Those are our thoughts on the Mandalorian trailer. Of course, what do you guys think? We'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like on it. Subscribe if you're new. Share this video with all your Star Wars friends. Share it with your mom, your dad, your grandpa, your grandma, your uncle, your great uncle, whoever in your life. Share the video, please. And stick around because we're going to be having a separate video where we discuss the Rise of Skywalker D23 footage. Of course, I'm Nate. I'm joined with Justin.
See you guys later.
Steven.
Take care.
And Connor. And we will see you guys next time on Out of the Basement.